Pardon the interruption, but I'm Michael Tony. A gold-plated toilet upholstered by Louis Vuitton is on the market for $75 grand. Would you spend that much for a toilet?
I'm Tony Corners, you know me. I'm a kitchen sink man.
Okay, and kitchen
they got a
sink
disposal. That's good. Kitchen sink.
75. Somebody's going to do that.
Nobody's going to do that.
Sure, somebody's going to do that.
Why? Would you do that?
No, I'm not doing that. By the way,
I like the way you pronounce Louis Vuitton. I like the way you do that. Do you have clothes by him? You got anything? You got
not a pair of shoes, not sunglasses.
I was going to say, did you ever shoplift some sunglasses?
Oh, no.
No, really?
Oh.
Because we'd see you in China.
Yeah.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. We will get to the messy weekend in college football in a few moments. But we begin today with the Atlanta Falcons' domination of the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys could score only 7 points without Ezekiel Elliott and without left tackle Tyron Smith. Dak Prescott was sacked 6 times by the same guy, Adrian Claiborne.
Man.
6 sacks. Wilbon, both the Cowboys and the Falcons are now 5-4. Which team do you have more confidence in going forward?
Tony, it's interesting because before last year, you could just sort of laugh at both these teams. They don't have the confidence in either one of them. Because Atlanta would always disappoint you.
Deep run, though, went to the Super Bowl.
And the Cowboys just weren't any good anymore. They weren't the Cowboys that we knew.
13-3 last year.
And so they each had a really different season, Atlanta getting to the Super Bowl, where they turned out to be Atlanta in the second half. So I'm looking at this now thinking, I didn't trust either one of these franchises before. But Smith and Elliott, if both are absent and they can't protect their quarterback and they can't run the football, I'm going to be forced to answer Atlanta, and I can't believe I'm doing that.
Are you influenced at all by the fact that Devontae Freeman will miss apparently multiple games with a concussion, his second, because he's a big-time running back at Atlanta?
Yeah, but I mean a couple. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be out five more games.
Yeah, they can't win without him.
And so Tony, I thought they could patch together something. And yesterday said, oh, hold on there, Sparky. They can't.
So if you ask me this question, because I did the research on this, I'm going to go to schedules, comparative schedules.
Okay.
Dallas has a very difficult schedule. They have a game against Seattle and 2 against the Eagles, and their opponents are 34-29. That's very good at this stage. Do you know what Atlanta's opponents are? 39-24. They get Seattle, they get Minnesota, they get New Orleans twice, and they get Carolina.
That's hard.
So this is a team that has done nothing but gas all year. I think both are going to fade. I think you think both are going to fade. But I think Atlanta is facing the more daunting opponents.
Well, they are, Tony. And there's no reason historically to have faith in Atlanta. It was like last year was a one-off. And then they got there, and again, they reverted. At some point, you revert to form.
Do you know what's the most interesting thing about these teams?
What?
That Jerry Jones has singled out Arthur Blank. The owners have beat.
The guy
he singled out Arthur Blank.
Didn't even want to talk to him.
No.
How about that?
Yeah.
So let's talk about 2 teams with better records in the NFC than Dallas and or Atlanta. Both the Saints and Vikings, flawed as they appeared to be just a month ago, won yesterday to move to 7-2 and stay within striking distance of said Eagles. Impossible as it sounds, the Saints used defense and overpowering rushing attack to win in Buffalo. And the Vikings got a career-high 4 touchdown passes and 38 points from essentially their number 3 quarterback, Case Keenum, to also win on the road, beat your Redskins.
Yes, they did.
Tone, Vikes or Saints, who do you like more this deep into the season?
I have to tell you that when a team goes from indoors to outdoors in Buffalo, and I don't care what the weather is in Buffalo, just going to Buffalo and scoring that kind of points, that's impressive. I would say the Saints because they have a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Because it's a quarterback league, and because Drew Brees is going to go to the Hall of Fame, and we are not sure about Case Keenum, but we're pretty sure he's not going to go to the Hall of Fame, right? So here's some stuff that's interesting. The fascinating thing about the Saints is how their defense has changed. In the first 2 games, when they went 0-2, they allowed 512 yards per. That's astonishing.
And then who'd they get in the next game?
Did they get your Bears
I think
in the
they
next
got
game?
Jay Cutler.
Okay. Oh, Jay Cutler. Okay.
They shut him out.
So in the
since
where they're 7-0, they've cut that in half to 255. They've cut it in half, and just the other day they went for 138 yards. So to me, it's so hard for me to believe after watching the Saints for so many years that the defense is any good. But if it is, they're legit.
Here's what helps the Vikings, though. Let me jump to that side of it for a second.
Okay.
I know the Packers beat the sorry no-account Bears, and we'll get to them later. But you got the Bears, the Lions, who you can't trust, who we're struggling against Cleveland.
So you're saying the division favors them?
The division favors the Vikings. But let me go back now to something I have believed in all of my life. When you can play defense and run the ball, what you find and what you discover is a physical superiority, a mastery of the opposition. And so you don't need Drew Brees to throw 50 times a game like 2009 through 15.
So this is the most interesting part. At one point yesterday, New Orleans ran the ball on 24 straight plays, which is like Army or Navy playing, and Drew Brees is on the field.
They're crushing people.
Not only that, they go for 298 and 6 touchdowns. So remember when Adrian Peterson gave the death stare to Sean Payton?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they didn't need him. Just maybe.
Let me ask you a question as a PS. Then why the hell did they go get him?
Don't know. Makes no sense now. In retrospect, no sense. The two teams at the top of the AFC are traditional powers, New England and Pittsburgh. They are both 7-2. The Patriots got there with their biggest offensive show of the season, 41 points against the Broncos in Denver last night. The Steelers got there with a last-second field goal against the Colts in Indianapolis after falling behind 17-3. Wilbon, are the Patriots clearly the best team in the AFC?
Yes, and relative to the Steelers just getting games they don't care. I'm surprised.
They play down,
the history of the Steelers.
They play down.
They lost to the Bears. They look terrible. And every time I checked on that game, I was like, what Steeler team is this?
Yeah.
What this does not look like the Steelers are supposed to look. Of course it's New England. Of course, when you sat here for the first 3 weeks going, oh, the defense, they can't fix it.
Well, it was terrible.
Tom Brady's going to look like he's 50.
Wait, Mike.
Well,
the first 6 games, they allowed 300 yards passing
and they lost
to everybody.
But they won a couple of those.
Yes, they did.
Tony, the point is they figure stuff out. They go back to work. And when Bill Belichick says, on to the Bengals or on to Dallas or on to Mexico, they play in Mexico next week.
Yeah.
This is the secret of them. They don't have outside noise that influences what they do. He just puts his head down and figures out what to do the next week. And until somebody can get around that, they are the best.
Right. So I'm not going to show any disrespect to Pittsburgh because they have a great quarterback and they have a great running back and they got a great wide receiver. But they're not as full a team as New England.
They don't seem to be paying attention to
New England now, the last 3, I love these statistics. The last 3 games in passing, what they allowed, 233, 212, and 221.
Yeah.
So they cut their number all the way down. And Brady is the best. Brady is the best. You look at them, and then they do something like 3 weeks ago, if you had asked me who is Rex Burkhardt, I would have had absolutely no idea. They find people that fit them.
They develop people.
Them.
Let's go back to Pittsburgh for a second. You know who they are? They're the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Steelers might get a whiff of the playoffs, and they might get themselves together in December.
You mean they're this year?
They're the Cleveland
2 years
Cavaliers.
Ago, the Cleveland Cavaliers won the title.
Pittsburgh's won 2. Ben Roethlisberger won a couple of titles. You know, LeBron, Cleveland hadn't done that. My point is, Pittsburgh's not paying attention right now. Can they flip a switch? Can they get to December and say, we're going to pay attention to the Bears and the Colts of the world?
No.
You don't think they can in football? You don't think it works?
No, they pay much more attention to somebody really good in front
Maybe that works. They don't get the Bears and the Colts in the playoffs.
But New England is clearly better.
Yes, they're always the best. Tony, enough of the pros. Enough. The NFL was merely dessert after a college football Saturday feast of a main course. The highlights, of course, were the Dogs getting roasted at Auburn.
They did.
And Miami dancing on the grave that belongs to your boys, Notre Dame. Nice job out of you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Wisconsin all maintained or improved their positions with big wins. With all that in mind, if you were a voting member of the playoff committee, tell me who right now would be your top 4.
I wouldn't have called Alabama's win a big win. I would have called it pretty dicey. They had to wait.
It won.
Yeah, but they had to wait till the last possession in order to win the game. If it's me right now, I've got Alabama, I've got Oklahoma, I've got Miami, and I've got Clemson. And now I will open this up to the thing that will make your head explode. To me, the very real possibility that if Auburn goes and beats Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, and I know you think so, and then they go back and beat Georgia for a second time that was the number 1 team in the country, then I would tell you that Alabama, with 2 losses, which I don't think has ever happened before, is going to get into the playoff and maybe at the expense of a conference that you love, their representative undefeated Wisconsin.
If that happens, everybody in the room that votes that should be fired. They should be kicked out of the room. I'm going to tell you something else. Is Auburn creating that scenario? Is that like your scenario that Notre Dame's going to run the table? Because we sat here for 4 weeks talking about Notre Dame running the table. And what did I tell you every week?
You said they would not.
Okay, let me tell you something else.
So you think Auburn will not do this?
Auburn's not going to beat Alabama, even at Auburn, and beat Georgia again.
Well, they're not going to get to Georgia again.
If Georgia,
if they don't,
which people will vote very high, and some of them will vote Georgia over Wisconsin, if Georgia is trumped by an Auburn team like that, just punked them.
Yeah.
Okay, they punked them.
Yeah, they killed them.
And their big win, Georgia's big win, was Notre Dame, right? What does that mean anymore?
At Notre Dame.
Okay, what?
Well, Notre Dame is a one-loss team. Let me
give you my. There are two losses. Let me give you my top four. It's not that different. Alabama, Miami 2, undefeated Miami, which punked your boys.
Yes,
give them
they
some
did.
credit.
They did.
Oklahoma 3, and 4-5. I got Wisconsin 4, Clemson 5. You can do whatever you want because it's going to take care of itself.
Clemson and Miami.
They play each other.
The
Somebody
winner is
goes.
In, the loser is
That's
out.
why if Wisconsin finishes undefeated, they're in.
Here, the problem with that is that the committee has come out each week and said the same thing, that we look at strength of schedule. Wisconsin now can only, in its next 2 weeks, gets Michigan, a 2-loss team, and then the championship gets a 2-loss team.
You're telling me Auburn, a 2-loss team, is or Alabama, a 2-loss team, so great?
I'm going to tell you that Auburn, if Auburn beats Alabama and Georgia,
are they a 2-loss
I don't know how they keep them out. Yes, they are.
Now how are you going to talk out of both sides of your mouth about 2-loss teams?
Because the 2 losses are way in the background, and they were both the ranked teams.
Get out.
According to the New York Times, Roger Goodell, your boy, as recently as this past August, proposed to the NFL a contract extension that called for $49.5 million per year, as well as, and I know you're paying attention, lifetime use of a private jet.
Yes, sir.
Lifetime health insurance for his family.
What do you need health insurance?
Wilbon, do you believe this was leaked to embarrass Roger Goodell, and should he be embarrassed?
I don't know. Maybe some enterprising reporter found it. I'm not going to
stop. Jerry Jones
I'm not going to go to leaking first.
He leaked it.
You know, for a guy who's always talking about standing up for the press and the people you used to work with, you never do it anymore. You never do.
Jerry Jones leaked it.
You don't know that.
You don't know that a 2-loss Auburn team's not getting in.
The New York Times is reporting, speaking of the New York Times, you think they're credible enough? Or maybe Jerry leaked it. A cease and desist warning from the owners on the competition committee to Jerry saying, stop.
Shut up.
Shut up about suing the league and suing each other. And what was the first question?
Should he be embarrassed?
The lifetime jet. That is the drop the mic situation right there.
Yeah.
Look, Roger Goodell's already making between $30 and $40 million a year.
I think he did a little over 40 in his best year.
Okay, so I mean, maybe more than $100 million, like 150.
Let me explain something.
In about a 4-year period.
If you're making 40, what's 50? That's negotiation, Holmes.
Yes, it is.
That's what that is. So what was interesting to me is 49.5. I guess that's either the hometown discount.
Under 50.
No. Buy the hook. Buy the hook right there and go for $50 million. Get the jet. Now, what he should be embarrassed about is health care for his family. You got enough money. Stand up like everybody else and buy the health care.
If something happens to you, everybody's fine.
Buy
the
ranch.
But let's go back to Jerry for a second. This is who Jerry used to be, Tony, when he bought into the league.
He's a rebel.
He antagonized everybody except Al Davis, who sat back and laughed at the whole thing. And now, on his way out, Jerry's been an owner for what? Since 1989? Was that nearly 30 years? Jerry is now.
Before that.
No, 89.
Really?
I was there the day he bought the team and threw Landry and Tex Schramm out.
Brought Jimmy Johnson
and now people are saying, Jerry, we know you've made us a lot of money. You've been a great owner. Shut up. We are tired of you. What do you think? Jerry going to take a knee and protest at the other owners?
Here's what I think. I think they're wrong for doing that to Jerry Jones. And no, I don't. I think Jerry Jones.
These guys all have made a lot of money. Jerry's franchise worth $4 billion.
Cease and desist warning, not an order. Let's take a break. Coming up, is John Fox, coach of your Bears, taking more heat than he deserves for his replay call?
He's not taking enough, not nearly enough.
Well, you'll get a chance.
And did Vontaze Burfict really deserve to be ejected for brushing away a ref's hand?
Vontaze Burfict suffers by being Vontaze Burfict for the last 5 years.
Part of Happy Hour.
It's mail time, where you pick the topics and we roll over and take it. Let me see what's first.
Mail time.
Are you ready? Everyone's ripping John Fox, but didn't he make an understandable mistake?
No, it was a stupid mistake. And then I'm watching the game live, and when he gets to the pylon, you have to have people in the booth under your employ, your assistants or an assistant, who understands when that ball looks loose, you know it could be a touchback, So you don't throw a flag. It costs you a touchdown. It's just either negligent or it's stupid. And either way, the Bears got outcoached their coaching staff 100 ways from Sunday by Green Bay, and that's one of them.
So you're not happy with the Bears?
I'm angry.
Really?
One
You're
of the
not happy
worst
with
losses
Mitch
in
Trubisky?
20 years.
What you said, the truth of this is, John Fox is on the sideline with a headset. He can't see
He
that.
can't see it.
He's got people in the stands, in the booth, and they're supposed to tell him, drop the flag or don't drop the flag.
That's right.
So why is John Fox facing this?
Because it's his staff.
Okay.
He's responsible for his assistants. It's a bad coaching mistake, and it could have cost him a game. Packers win every year in this stupid rivalry now. I'm tired of it. Did the Colts handle Jacoby Brissett's possible concussion appropriately?
Did he see the doctor? Did he see the team doctor and the independent doctor?
Are you the independent doctor?
If he did that and they said you're okay to go back, then I don't want to hear any more about this. Now, he's in concussion protocol now. So obviously it was a bad deal. But
no, not necessarily.
Well, if he fulfilled what he was supposed to do, that's what. You know what's more important than that?
What?
Do you know where their quarterback is now? Their real quarterback? Andrew Luck.
Vegas?
He is in Europe. He is in Europe undergoing experimental medical therapy for his bad shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that tell you about
Kobe
the
did that
doctors
once
with
with
the
his knee.
Indianapolis Colts and the doctors all over there?
It's an
What does it
expensive
tell you?
second opinion. And by the way, Russell Wilson,
Europe.
I will just say this having talked to a couple of doctors, not you, medical doctors.
I am a doctor.
Here's one thing they want to make clear. These symptoms don't necessarily show up immediately. So if they show up 10 minutes from now, Tony, you may have a concussion, but it's not detectable in the moment.
That's fine.
So
there's a protocol is a protocol. Could C.J. Beathard actually keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the bench?
how great would that be? How great would that be,
stupid.
Tony? Well, wait a minute. If C.J. Beathard, who, by the way, wins a game yesterday, their only win of the year for the 49ers, and Tony, he's out blocking on sweeps. He's sticking his nose in there. I bet you his teammates not only like him, but respect and are beginning to admire him. And if Jimmy Garoppolo is not out there,
they got a bye week coming up. If you coach that team and you just spent a lot of money on
want to win the
Garoppolo,
games.
what would you do?
if I coached it,
You want to win games.
coaching
They've
is
only
not
won
the
one
same
game.
as running it. If I coached it, I want the guy who can win for me today.
Let me
The
explain
general
something.
manager's job is to look big
This
picture.
is not the story.
What?
The story there is the Giants giving up, going 3,000 miles, giving up 31 points to a team that had scored a total of 30 in their last 3 games. Did you see the headline on Newsday today about Ben McAdoo? McAdoomed. That's what it says.
But he's not, they're not going to fire him. They've come out with a statement saying they're not going to do anything right now. They're not going to fire him until the end of the season. Doesn't feel good for your New York teams, does it?
I was a Jets fan.
Should the NFL apologize to Vontaze Burfict for ejecting him?
I never thought I would say this because he's Vontaze Burfict, and because you know how much money he has amassed in fines in his years in the league?
I know you looked it up.
$303,000. You know how many fines you have to get $303,000?
Well, it could be
but
wrong.
in this particular case, this is not worthy of what happened to him. It's just not. This is on reputation because he is a recidivist. Because he does this all the time. So they should apologize.
When guys talk about getting reputations, they're usually talking about something that will enhance their careers. He earned this.
That's right.
Because you know what would happen if Larry Fitzgerald had sort of moved a referee's arm? Nothing would happen. The referee would have said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Fitz."
Did you see when he walked out and he had his hands up in the air? Because it's money. It's going to cost him money.
Tony, he's earned it. So live with it. One thing, if you're going to be a rebel, be it. Walk it. Don't try to back off from it and moonwalk away from it.
We're going to keep looking?
I want more email.
Enough email.
No.
Let's take one last break. Still to come with Butch Jones gone. Who should be the next head coach at Tennessee?
He looks like he's doing that perfect rip move. And is it a good look for Colin Kaepernick? He looks good to be on the cover of GQ.
Happy time. People, happy 32nd birthday, Michael Bennett, the Seahawks defensive end who has been in the middle of the anthem protests, stood for the national anthem for the first time this season prior to the Cardinals game last Thursday night. Bennett, who has veterans in his family and has always said his protest was not aimed at anyone in the military, stood out of respect to those who served. Now, that doesn't mean he'll stand for the next game. That's TBD.
But, Tony, Veterans Day holiday across the league Thursday through, I'm sure, tonight. Teams in the league celebrated veterans, and so did he in Seattle.
Happy anniversary to Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll. Around this day 8 years ago, you played the What's Your Deal game. After Harbaugh went for 2 late in a shocking Stanford blowout of USC, Carroll asked Harbaugh, "What's your deal?" To which Harbaugh responded, "What's your deal?" Not pals.
Who's had the better career so far?
Carroll. Don't you think?
2 Super Bowls, one of them.
Come on. Happy trails, Butch Jones. Jones is out as head coach at Tennessee after failing to win a single SEC game so far this season. Although he had a 34-27 overall record, he was only 14-24 in the conference. And Tennessee has lost its most recent game to every SEC opponent in his face. Jones is making $4.1 million because that's a big job.
There's one guy to go after. You know who it is.
Tell me.
Chip Kelly.
Your boy now.
Chip Kelly.
After all those years of killing him in Philadelphia.
Chip Kelly if you're serious.
No errors. Let's go to the big finish quick.
Let's do it.
GQ named Colin Kaepernick its Citizen of the Year. Good look for him.
You think Kaepernick could use some praise right now, a little celebration? It is good for him. The Celtics won their 12th straight despite not having Kyrie Irving because he's got that facial fracture fitted for a mask now. Your thoughts?
Brad Stevens is great.
Yeah.
Gets him to play. Mookie Betts of the Red Sox bowled a perfect 300 in a PBA event. You impressed?
Absolutely. About 100 pins more than me, and I bowled in an official event. Aaron Judge signed a big deal to be a spokesperson for Pepsi. That makes sense.
Makes sense for Pepsi. Aaron Judge is a big star in the biggest city in the country. Last one, Dolphins at Panthers tonight. Who you got in this one?
You think I'm going to watch Dolphins at Panthers when I can watch LeBron against the Unicorn? Huh?
You're not going to watch Jay Cutler? Really?
No.
We're out of time. Try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Once again, no. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knucklehead. We now send you to Susie Culver and the Monday Night Countdown.